Hello, and welcome to another episode of Warhammer 40,000 Lore presented Troph AI. Today we will explore the lore of the Black Templars, while looking Troph some AI images, created with Mid-Journey. Some turned out great, but do not be surprised by depictions which would not be perfect. The Black Templars are a second founding chapter derived from the Imperial Fists. Since its founding, the Black Templars have campaigned on a never-ending crusade. During Horus's attack on the Imperial Palace, the Imperial Fists primarch, Rogal Dorn, chose his first captain, Sigismund. As the Emperor's champion, he was given the best armor and weapon and swore a holy duty to challenge the champions of chaos, and triumphed over all he met in battle. After the Horus Heresy, Robert Guilliman, the primarch of the Ultramarines, ordered the breakdown of the Space Marine legions into chapters. Dorn thought Guilliman a coward for not being there during the defense of Terra. Guilliman, in turn, thought Dorn a rebel for refusing to accept the dictates of the new Codex Astartes. Neither would give in. Leman Russ of the Space Wolves and Vulcan of the Salamanders both sided with Dorn, as they did not want their legions divided, while Korix of the Raven Guard and Jagatai Khan of the White Scars sided with Guilliman. Again, civil war threatened to split the Imperium. The Imperial Fists were persecuted for their so-called heresies and even fired upon by the Imperial Navy. When civil war seemed all but inevitable, Dorn finally relented and agreed to split his legion. The first successor chapters created from the Imperial Fists were the Crimson Fists and the Black Templars. Sigismund led the more zealous of the Imperial Fists with him to the founding of the Black Templars, and became their first High Marshal. Sigismund swore an oath upon leaving Terra, that he and his new chapter would prove their loyalty by never resting in his duties against enemies of the Emperor. Sigismund spent much of this time remaining vigilant over the Cadian Gate, insisting that Horus traitors would one day return to plague the Imperium. Despite the dismissals of many Imperial officials, Sigismund was proven right when Abaddon returned in the First Black Crusade. The Black Templar fleet was waiting, and a massive battle erupted that saw Sigismund slain by Abaddon himself. Since his death, every High Marshal has renewed Sigismund's oath of never-ending crusade, and as such, the Black Templars' crusade has continued for over 10,000 years. In the year 998 of Millennium 41, the Black Templars would briefly come to blows with the Dark Angels, after the Templars refused to hand over a prisoner that the Dark Angels suspected to be Cypher. The incident is reported to the Adeptus Terra, and Inquisitor Archibald was assigned to lead the inquiry. The Black Templars found themselves spread across the galaxy when the Great Rift opened. By the end of the Noctis Aeterna, several crusades were discovered to have vanished altogether, while even those within the Imperium Sanctus found themselves scattered. Rather than using the reactivation of the Astronomicon as a reprieve to consolidate and recuperate, the Black Templars instead undertook a vicious purge against the new wave of mutation and heresy within the Imperium Sanctus left in the wake of the Noctis Aeterna. Other crusades redoubled their efforts against the enemies of mankind, and new chapter keeps were raised. It was during this time that Robert Guilliman's torchbearer fleets discovered the Black Templars and delivered the Primaris Space Marines to them. Many thought that the fanatical Black Templars would reject the newcomers, and fearing conflict, Guilliman himself met High Marshal Helbrecht aboard the Eternal Crusader. The High Marshal was in the midst of pursuing the Orc warboss Gazkul, and was impatient to conduct diplomatic matters. In the ensuing meeting, Guilliman was surprised by the willingness of Helbrecht to recognize the value of the Primaris line, while Guilliman did not turn out to be the commanding despot that the High Marshal expected. Guilliman gave Helbrecht the choice of accepting Primaris Space Marines and reminded the High Marshal that he was responsible to the whole of mankind's realm as opposed to his own personal vendettas with the Orcs. In the end, Helbrecht accepted the Primaris into his ranks and promoted a number of his own sword brethren to marshals in order to command new crusades made up of former Grey Shields. Helbrecht's acceptance of the Primaris Space Marines helped convince the various crusade fleets to also incorporate these new warriors into their ranks. However, the incorporation of Primaris Space Marines did not go entirely smoothly for the chapter, most infamously in the Angevin Crusade. There has been some talk that Black Templars are especially resilient in crossing the Rubicon Primaris, and that it may be a reward for their faith in the Emperor. It is unknown if this is verified fact or simply a rumor. Early Millennium 31, the Great Purging. In one of the Black Templars' first actions as an independent chapter, They purged the Donatello system of chaos holdouts, including a Night Lord's warband, towards the end of the Scouring. Year 781 of Millennium 31, the First Black Crusade. A massive Black Templars fleet under Sigismund himself defended the Cadian Gate against the first of Abaddon's incursions. The Black Templars were ultimately defeated, and Sigismund was slain in a duel with Abaddon. Year 544 of Millennium 32, the War of the Beast. During the conflict, the Black Templars contributed a portion of their strength to rebuild the Imperial Fists. Year 998 of Millennium 41, the Third War for Armageddon. The Black Templars fielded 3 crusades. In addition, High Marshal Helbrecht was appointed commander of the combined Space Marine fleet that supported Battlefleet Armageddon against the Orcs in void skirmishes throughout the Armageddon system. Year 999 of Millennium 41, the 13th Black Crusade. The Black Templars contribute a Crusade fleet to counter not only Chaos forces, but also the nearby Orc Green Crusade. Various other campaigns during M42, such as the War in the Pariah Nexus, the Octarius War, the Nachmund Rift War, the Arcs of Omen campaign, the Shrine World Crusades. Unlike many other chapters, the Black Templars do not have a homeworld. They opt to live aboard their Crusade fleets. These vary in size and are made up of dozens of battle barges, strike cruisers and other craft such as training vessels and huge forged ships. Given this fleet-based nature, the Black Templars are rarely assembled as a chapter, but are instead divided into many crusades. Every crusade being responsible for its own recruiting as well as training of new neophytes. This flexible, mobile nature allows the Templars to continue the first mission of the Black Templars, to actively seek out the enemies of the Emperor and destroy them before moving onwards to find the next foe. The exact number of Crusade fleets active at any one time, as well as the size of the individual fleets, varies according to the chapter's needs and abilities. The exact size of Crusade fleets varies, with some numbering a handful of warriors while others may even number thousands. However, the typical size of a Crusade fleet is between 50 and 300 warriors. The High Marshal himself has his own personal battle barge, the Eternal Crusader, a huge vessel that is the spiritual home of the entire chapter and contains its most sacred relics, chapels, and reliquaries. It has been expanded and refitted many times and can currently hold twice as many Space Marines as a normal battle barge. When a Crusade fleet conquers a world, the Black Templars often raise a chapter keep upon it to maintain their vigil. Though smaller than the fortress monastery of a Codex chapter, these are nonetheless formidable bastions that can house 200 to 300 Space Marines as well as support personnel and servitors, though few rarely garrison numbers this large. As chapter keeps are often raised on worlds ravaged by war. They are usually home to a violent and brutal population and are seen as prime recruitment material. Many Imperial citizens want to become a Black Templar, so they hone their skills, which helps them later to enter the ranks of the Imperial Guard or Planetary Defense Force even if they are not chosen to be neophytes. Those who declare their intent to join Black Templars are known as expectanten and have a long and dangerous journey to survive before they can become a simple neophyte. Thank you for watching this video about the Black Templars. I hope you learned something new and interesting about this fascinating Space Marine chapter. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you have interesting ideas for future videos, leave them in the comments. Until next time, remember, no pity, no remorse, no fear.